This programme is the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Brands Hatch for the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Last time out, double wins for Kevin Harrison in Class 1, James Coleman the newcomer in Class 2. Kevin's moved up to second overall in the championship behind Simon Clarke. How will they all get on today? Let's go down to the paddock and have a little bit of gossip before racing starts. Andy Baker, a very warm welcome to the championship. You left it to day two of the Deutsch Fest. Why is that?
Oh, unfortunately, we had a horse event with my wife, so I had to attend that, which was already pre-booked. So we attended that yesterday and rushed up here last night and got prepared.
So Indy circuit here at Brands Hatch. Raced here before?
Yes, I have, yes. I've done a few meetings here before, so yeah, looking forward to today. Glad it's dry, so hopefully it will go really well.
Some good drivers in this championship, isn't there? And I guess you've got a lot of competition, but also maybe getting a bit of help?
Yeah, it's getting a little bit of help from some of the other drivers, etc. And also, the thing is, you've also got the situation of much faster cars, which will pull us along anyway. We get faster, learn a little bit more, and yeah, it should be good racing.
Matt Harris, another warm welcome to the championship in Class 2. Tell us about your background.
So I started off in a different championship with the BRSCC, where I did production in my first year, and then the second year I do what they call the Super Sport, which once again is a 986 Boxster, but they run an aero kit and slightly lighter in weight. And then this year, come over to the Porsche Club, lost the aero, gained 75 kilos of weight, and yeah, in with the deep end with the 911s, catching quickly and passing quickly. So it's been a steep learning curve this weekend.
With the changes you've had to make, I guess a different car.
Yeah, especially with the extra weight, because it just carries you through the corner that bit heavier. So, but the slicks make a huge difference. So that's been a warm welcome, having the slicks.
Well, congratulations on pole position. The momentum's starting now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we got pole as well in the two races yesterday, so to sort of do it again today now, we've just got to try and manage to work out how to manage the tyres better with this car. Obviously it's a new car with us and we're still learning it it's quite a steep learning curve, but hopefully we can get to the bottom of it and we can start winning races as well.
You're still beating the boy at the moment?
Yeah, that's the idea. Obviously he's in a very fast car because that's my old car, which was unbeatable around here, so you know he's got a bit to live up to.
So Jake, Dad sorted the car out for you in the last couple of seasons, but it's running well, isn't it? And fastest lap yesterday in race 1 too.
Yeah, well, this obviously it's a bit of a bittersweet moment, this quali, really, because obviously I'm really happy to be on the front row, but at the same time yesterday I had a problem with the cables with the gearbox, so I had no third or fifth gear, so it's a bit of a case of what could have been, really. But yeah, over the moon to be on the front row again today. We've both got the pace and hopefully it goes a bit better than last time we had a front row like out at Donington, where we lost it within about 20 metres.
Kevin, a superb double last time out, and today not even getting to race. Tell us what happened.
Basically, just waiting for the tyres to come in. I was on a very quick lap. I wanted to get in the first two rows again to get a good start. Barreled into Surtees, and I think Andy Toon started to spin in front of me, and before I knew it, instantly I was just in a massive spin and I was flat out at that point. So went on the grass, a couple of spins, and then I hit Paul Seagrave, unfortunately, who'd already come off on the oil. So yeah, unfortunate accident. But that's racing, unfortunately. 1 minute you're up, next minute you're down.
Shame to lose Kevin Harrison, Craig Wilkins and Paul Seagrave from the grid, but the remainder of the cars are ready for our First race of the day here at Brands Hatch, and as you heard, it's an all McAleer front row. Mark from son Jake. Simon Clarke, the championship leader on row 2 with Pete Morris. Class 2 headed by James Coleman from Ross Morris, who is the championship leader in Class 2. Then Toby Barlow and Kevin Molyneux. Welcome back to the grid to Natalie McGloin, and a welcome to the grid to Andy Baker, who we met at the interview just before they came out for racing here today. So the battle of the McAleers on the front row of the grid here at Brands Hatch. Can Jake do a Kevin Harrison and speed away? No, he can't. It's a decent enough start, but he's in P2. It's his dad, Mark, that leads them away. Rest of them away cleanly, and it's Mark McAleer into Paddock Hill Bend from Jake. Round the outside those goes Pete Morris. Pete having a very good go here after a slow start in the previous round in race 2. Has made an absolutely stunning start. Pete Morris challenging for second. He's got the outside line here, which will be the inside coming down into Graham Hill Bend. Pete Morris up into P2. Jake McAleer third. Simon Clarke fourth. Then it is Chris Dyer, followed by James Cayley in the silver number 50, shooting 7th on the grid. In car with Simon Clarke. Spent a lot of time chasing in our previous programme, and he'll be doing the same here again to try and nab some championship points. He's got number 9 car of Chris Dyer, then James Cayley. Steve Cheetham looking up the inside line in 43. Steve deserves some better luck today. Let's hope that he can get that. Side by side with Cayley coming out of Clarke Curve along Brabham Straight and across the line. Cayley on the outside line. Steve Cheetham in the Cayman on the inside. It's Mark McAleer that leads them at the end of lap number 1. I mentioned on the last programme that he now has 200 starts under his belt, looking for career win number 45. Now think about that. That's very nearly 25. It's very nearly 1 in 4 races that Mark McAleer has won in this championship, which is a remarkable statistic. We look at Pete Morris, another driver that's done so well with 36 wins from 156 starts thus far in terms of the statistics. So we have drivers that stay with this championship and drivers that are very quick. It's such a great entry, and newest drivers to the championship like Simon Clarke getting stuck in and leading the championship. There's Andy Baker in the 28 car alongside the other newcomer Matthew Harris that we heard from, and those two guys moving across to the BRSCC championship. Very welcome to join us and thoroughly enjoying their racing with us. I think down behind Matt Kyle Henney at the moment, so back towards the front group. Jake McAleer running in third. Simon Clarke busy chasing him at the moment, and Mark McAleer getting away. So Mark looking for the chance to move further up the table. Mark is currently 8th in the standings. If he does well today, he'll be able to pass Steve Cheetham in the championship, and then Andy Toon, and his son Jake is running in 5th position in the standings at the moment. There is Steve Freeman in the blue 68. The Class 3 runners that you saw in our last programme not racing with us today. They've got standalone races for this day of the action. The extra races that we had on effectively yesterday's. Jake McAleer looks to the outside line of Pete Morris. This is what Morris did to him on the opening lap, and look at Pete Morris giving him room. That is fine motor racing between the pair, but they get very close, and Jake McAleer goes through. Nice piece of racing. Jake McAleer through on the inside line of multi-champion Pete Morris. Simon Clarke fancies a bit of a go as well. Along Cooper Straight, tries to get the momentum up into Surtees, but he's got Chris Dyer right behind him as well. So little to choose between 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th places here. Mark McAleer is away and down the road. And incidentally, the BRSCC Championship we're talking about, that Andy Baker and Matthew Harris came from, and indeed James Coleman, who's there in the 47 car up ahead of Ross Morris, was the championship that Mark McAleer won twice, I think, at the tail end of the last millennia, 1999, 2000, if memory serves correctly, in the 924 category. And Mark did a guest drive in it a couple of seasons back. So, good battle going on for the Class 2 lead. James Coleman with Ross Morris right behind him. James had a couple of breaks yesterday, managed to get away. He was very modest in the interviews. Oh, something flying off the back of the car there for him as he's about to try and pass Del Brett. Alistair Isles is in front, so Del, one of the Class 1 runners, as is Alistair Isles. Those two having a good battle, and James Coleman trying to go through on the inside line. Ross Morris might tee up an inside run here as well. For the moment, he's going to content himself with following Del Brett. So the Class 2 leader, James Coleman, makes a little bit of ground there. Third place in class at the moment is Toby Barlow. That's the Porsche Centre Chester Martini livery car. And this, I think, the first time that we've seen Toby Barlow up on podium positions. So that's good for Toby. Having a very good run there is Toby, with Angus Archer in 4th position. Then Adam Davey, followed by Matt Kyle Henney. Matt is second in the standings at the moment, 156 points. Ross Morris leading the table on 172 with 3 wins so far. This is the 6th race of the 2019 campaign. And Mark and Jake McAleer enjoying their run at the front. But, as we said in the previous rounds here, being such a short track, just 1.2 miles long, and with 2 classes, the slower class will start to get caught, the less powerful class will start to get caught, and that's what's happening here. Now, is Jake McAleer going to take the race to his dad? I rather fancy he might do, because he's in the upper hand in terms of the championship positions in 5th. Matt Culhenney keeping it wide. Mark McAleer will go through on the inside line. Jake will follow. It was probably slightly easier maybe for Jake. Doesn't quite get as wide a line into Surtees. Through McLaren they go. So the McAleer family team out front, the RVR Racing boys, 1 and 2, and getting away. There's Pete Morris in red and black in 3rd place. 4th, the white and light blue car predominantly of Simon Clarke, the championship leader, with Chris Dyer next up from Jonathan Evans. Jonathan got his first finish in race 2 of our previous programme. First Class 1 finish that was, the former Class 2 champion, or the reigning Class 2 champion we should say. Cayman's having a good battle. Chris Dyer, who was championship leader after race 1, challenging current championship leader Simon Clarke. James Coleman, the leader in Class 2. That's a Class 1 car behind him. It's Del Brett. Del running 10th in class, 11th on the road. Ross Morris is 2nd, so James has built up a little bit of a gap and that cushion with Del Brett in the mix as well. It is still Toby Barlow running in 3rd place in the Martini livery car. So it's Mark McAleer from Jake McAleer, Pete Morris out front overall. Class 2, James Coleman, Ross Morris and Toby Barlow, with Del Brett between Coleman and Morris. Matt Harris enjoying his racing, and Steve Freeman closing in on Natalie McGloin. Wonderful to see Natalie back with us in her Cayman, and being challenged by Steve Freeman for 17th place. Natalie running 11th in class, Steve 6th in class 2 at the moment, behind Adam Davey in 6th, and then Matt Kyle Henney in 5th place. Andy Baker is passed by the 2 leaders. Oh, that's Andy, they say as they go past. So it's still Mark McAleer from Jake, still close between those 2 as well. This 25-minute race should go to around about 30 laps. Jake McAleer with the fastest lap of the race on lap 9, 51.981. Mark's best lap time on lap 5, 52.2. But holding sway, lights on from the pair of them as they work their way through the traffic. Peter Morris still in 3rd, and not that far behind Pete Morris at the moment. I think he's closed in from where he was in the earlier stages. James Coleman still looking pretty comfortable at the minute in the 47 car. And all the time he's got that gap back to Ross Morris, he'll be happy and confident for another win. Meanwhile, Del Brett gaining a little bit of confidence here, looks around the outside line and makes a very neat pass on the Class 2 machine. This is the battle for the lead though between the McAleers, and it is father leading son at the minute as they go across the line once again. Mark McAleer, remember, looking for, I think his 45th win. He's had well over 100 podium finishes in his career. Good to see Natalie back with us. Hope Natalie McGloin will contest some more races with us over the course of the season. Simon Clarke not that far behind Pete Morris, still in 4th. Chris Dyer is in 5th, and then a little bit of a gap back. Jonathan Evans running in 6th place, so if that's maintained, Jonathan will improve by 1 place on his previous finish, which was his first finish at the last round in Class 1, 7th place. This is debut weekend in the Class 1 of the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. There is the big hand 23 car of Simon Clarke, 12 points clear of Kevin Harrison. That gap over Harrison will go bigger. Peter Morris, though, will move into 2nd position in the championship if he finishes this race. Across the line go the 2 leaders as Mark McAleer starts to build again a little bit of a lead over his son. And, you know, Jake's going to be thinking about the fact that all the 997 runners tend to say, this is blazing hot weather this weekend here, tend to say that the 997 is much heavier on tyres as the meeting goes on. This is the first race of 2 today. Our previous programme focused on the previous day's racing as you watch Angus Archer getting stuck in. And runs a little bit wide to allow the race leader through, so fair play to Angus Archer. And Mark McAleer, Jake McAleer right in his mirrors. Jake, remember, starts on pole position in race number 2. He was a 10th to the good over Mark in qualifying for that, but we'll continue to focus on this race at the moment as Simon Clarke goes through on the inside line of Angus Archer. Angus running 4th in class at the moment, so on for some pretty decent points. Blue flags being waved at the Class 2 cars. There goes Chris Dyer in 5th position through on the inside of Angus, and the leaders carry on. I think maybe that's actually 6th place because Kevin Molyneux is in the mix as well there in the 41 car, podium finisher yesterday. Del Brett still having this super nice interclass battle here going on between Del Brett and James Coleman, and this is for 10th place overall. Del's got the upper hand of it at the moment. There is Steve Cheetham. Steve in front of James Cayley. Steve in 8th place, James Cayley in 9th position. So Steve having a better run. I still don't think has got the pace that we know that Steve can deliver. Still closing up. We've got 2 pairs effectively racing here. The lead pair, Mark McAleer ahead of Jake. Pete Morris coming under pressure from Simon Clarke, the championship leader, who will dearly love to get another podium. Tries to close in, and you'll remember us saying in the previous programme that the thoughts were that this wasn't really a Cayman circuit, but that is probably balanced out by the 997s, and you can see Pete Morris struggling there in his 997 in 3rd place at the moment. 997s can struggle on the tyres, particularly as it is such a hot day. 996s might be expected to take race wins, and the lead 996 in this one, Jake McAleer, and then the next 996 is Andy Toon. Obviously we lost Kevin Harrison and also Craig Wilkins, who were 996 mounted but had problems in qualifying as they go side by side for the lead, and Jake McAleer going to the outside line. They've passed the 3rd place car in Class 2. Pete Morris is still there in 3rd. Simon Clarke in 4th position. And Jake McAleer had a little look there, didn't he, for the race lead, but it's still Mark, his dad, who's out front. Pete Morris clears the 3rd place Class 2 car, and Mark McAleer would have seen his son there having a go for the lead. It'll be interesting to get their comments about that a little bit later on. Toby Barlow gets the blue flags. Very loudly waved, or vigorously waved we probably should say, but that's a difficult point on the circuit because you're inside and outside. We go left into Surtees and then right, so it can be difficult for the cars being passed to know exactly where to place themselves. Here's Simon Clarke again renewing the chase of Peter Morris, and Peter will welcome the opportunity to finish ahead of Simon Clarke here and take a few points out of that championship lead. There's Ross Morris closing in on Del Brett, and he needs to pass Del and then to try and close down on the class leader James Coleman. He is closer. There's no doubt that Ross Morris has got his head down and he's beginning to close in on the class leader, but whether he's going to have enough time to challenge for the lead or not remains to be seen. Fastest lap in Class 2 is with Matt Kyle Henney, a 54.009. Matt running in 5th position behind Angus Archer, Toby Barlow and Ross Morris as the McAleer father and son team go across the line again. Jake hasn't had an overall win. He's had wins in Class 2, and he would love to beat his dad. I wonder how cheeky he's actually going to be and try and take the battle to him, but those guys very, very quick today in qualifying as we watch James Cayley. James having had his first retirement of the year in the second race of our last programme. Other than that, it's had a good consistent year. There are drop scores in this championship which allow I think it's 2 drop scores which allow you to have a weekend off or a bad weekend if you're here, which is a fine way of dealing with the championship, and it gives drivers the chance, if they've had a little bit of bad luck, just to park that, put that to one side, and they know that it's not going to affect the championship too much for them. As Mark McAleer goes across the line again ahead of Jake, the gap just over half a second between the pair of them, and I think this is settled now for Mark McAleer, who's had a disappointing start to the season, to be fair. The number 14 car, multi-champion, has only had 1 podium so far, had a retirement and a non-start the first round, then got back into things at Brands with a 6th and an 8th on the GP circuit, a 2nd in race 1 in our last programme, a 9th in race 2, but it looks like he's going to grab the win here from his son. A 1-2, it's going to be a big celebration for the McAleer family for sure. They're closing up on Ross Morris, who is 2nd in Class 2. I'm not sure whether Ross is going to be passed and find himself a lap down. I don't think he will. I think Ross is going to have to do another lap, but it's Mark McAleer who will lead them out of Clarke Curve down towards the checkered flag, which is being readied now. There's the checker, and Mark McAleer takes a 45th career win in the Porsche Club Championship, this time from his son Jake. I wonder if he thought that would ever happen when he started racing those seasons ago. Class 2 still headed at the moment by James Coleman. James passes Natalie McGloin, so too does Del Brett, and I think Ross Morris has just dropped back a tad in these closing stages, but is still on to maintain the championship lead with 2nd position. 3rd in class, Toby Barlow ahead of Angus Archer. It's going to be a maiden podium for Toby Barlow, so looking very good for him, as Ross will try and pass Natalie, who's running in 18th position, 11th in class 1. Ross goes through on the inside line and heading for 2nd place, but it's going to be James Coleman taking 3 wins on the bounce in his Boxster. The number 47 car takes the class win, with Ross Morris in 2nd and Toby Barlow 3rd, but the overall winner is Mark McAleer. Here's the result: Mark McAleer from his son Jake, then Pete Morris and Simon Clarke from Chris Dyer and Jonathan Evans. Andy 2 next from James Cayley and Steve Cheetham. Class 2 winner James Coleman ahead of Del Brett. 2nd in Class 2, Ross Morris from Toby Barlow and Angus Archer. Matt Kyle Henney ahead of Adam Davey. Steve Freeman, Natalie McGloin, Kevin Molyneux and Matt Harris completing the finishes.
Mark, that looked really hard work and hot work.
I wasn't expecting that. Once we got away, I thought, oh, just nice cruise, save the tyres for the second race. And then that little sod, he obviously decided he wanted to have a pop. And, to be fair, I think he was probably quicker, certainly towards the end, but I thought, I can't let him have it. I've got to hang on. But yeah, great fun. Great fun.
Jake, your dad looked hot, you look hot as well. Hard race, and I think fastest lap there as well. Well done.
I have no idea about fastest lap, but yeah, it was a good, well fought race actually. I obviously dropped behind Pete up at Druids on the first lap, and I was surprised actually. I thought he's a very tough man to pass, so I was really pleased when I got him. And then yeah, just went about business trying to catch my dad, and I was quite surprised when I caught him. I think he took a few back markers quite badly, which helped me out. And then yeah, just good, clean racing really.
Sunshine's on the righteous, Pete. 3rd place podium, Petro Canada Lubricants, Porsche Club racing at its best.
I really wanted a podium. I didn't mind as long as it was a podium. And fair to Jake and the McAleers, the car was quicker than mine, but Jake put a move on me, and fair play, great move. So I've got the young and the old to contend with now, plus myself. My son came 2nd in class 2, so we're great to be on the podium again. I just love it.
Must be very happy with your debut in the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli.
Yeah, I can't complain, to be honest. It's been a great weekend. Wasn't expecting it. We've made a lot of changes throughout each race. So the car's been very different in each race, but it's still been good enough to win. So we're going to make some more changes for the last race and see where we go from there. But we're starting at the front again, so hopefully we get a good start and can keep in front.
Ross, we said we'd see you on the podium. Congratulations on that. Pretty close race, but you had a Class 1 car in between yourselves and James at times.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame really. We were having a good battle initially, and then the two 997s came between us and sort of put a gap in us, and then when we got past them, the fight was over then. I was just playing catch up. But next race I'll try a bit harder.
Toby, congratulations on your podium. Tell us a bit about your race.
It was pretty good really. I didn't get a great start, so sort of had to sort of work on trying to build back up again, but too much wheel spin unfortunately. But yeah, Kevin I think had an issue. He jumped me at the start and had a bit of an issue, something like that, and a bit sorry for him really, because he was quick all weekend and everything. But yeah, I managed to hold off. Then we got some clear air and just try not to make a mistake.
Chris, championship leader earlier in the year when we came to Brands Hatch. I know the GP circuit today didn't work out too well for you, but today started 5th, race 1, finished 5th, so reasonably happy?
Yeah, very happy. Yeah, I had a really good battle with Simon Clarke. Tried to get him on last lap, and we had a little bit of a coming together, but I backed out of it, so I didn't upset him. But no, it's the car's been really good today. Had a bit of a bad day yesterday with a couple of an 8th place and a bit of damage, but today's been really good.
Steve, you've been called for the race, but still some work going on. Anything that's fixable?
We're just trying some drastic changes. Just whatever we've done, setup-wise, it's just not worked all weekend. So we're just trying some. We're treating the next race as a bit of a test session now, just to try something different. We've struggled all weekend with this problem, and fingers crossed now we can just try something. If this works, we'll carry it on to the next race.
Trevor, when we left the Grand Prix circuit round a couple of months back now, you just had your first win and were championship leader. How did that feel?
Yeah, it felt very, very good, but I'm afraid this weekend's been downhill since, I'm afraid. But yeah, it was good. It was nice to get a win. It gives you a bit of confidence, and it's a nice place to get a win on the Grand Prix circuit, and especially as it was wet as well. That's always a bit of a bonus.
Class 2 seems to be growing. We've got new drivers coming in. It's to have led that huge field must be real good. And tell us about the weekend so far and qualifying.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see a lot of cars there. I think we've got probably about another 5 cars that we've new guys in, so it sharpens it up. And then the grid times are really within just a few tenths of a second from first right through to I think to 7th or 8th on the grid. So everybody's very good. The driving standards on the whole are really good. It's a great championship.
Matt, a little bit of damage on the car. What's the story behind that? And the second point is, I guess you must be aiming for another podium.
Yeah, so not a brilliant qualifying. Just got on the oil, just an absolute passenger, could not do anything. Straight into the side of Seagrave. So feel really sorry for him, but gladly he's all right and everybody's all right. And but yeah, yet another big learning curve for me. So this race, yeah, definitely podiums in my sights.
Jonathan, superb now to see you out in Class 1. How have you found your first meeting?
Yeah, it's been really good, thanks. We didn't really have an opportunity to set the car up prior to coming here, so we've struggled with a few little niggles. But we've used the test in the 2 days of racing to make some setup changes, and we're gradually getting a couple of tenths here and there, which hopefully is all we're going to need.
Yeah, certainly the progress results-wise, if we look at it, I think it was second race yesterday, 7th, 6th today, so maybe up towards the podium in this one.
We'll certainly give it the best shot. The competition is just unbelievable, though. I mean, we're all so close, and people who've got an awful lot more experience than me leading the way. So, yeah, it's good to follow these guys, learn off them, learning more and more every race still, and hopefully we can get this car somewhere near being competitive.
Jake McAleer wants to take the battle to his dad in this one. He's got pole position, so it's Jake from Mark. Simon Clarke on row 2 with Peter Morris. Then Chris Dyer, a gap where Kevin Harrison should have been. So Jonathan Evans next up in Class 1. Class 2 headed by James Coleman from Ross Morris. Then Toby Barlow. We're missing Trevor Lewis, so Matt Kyle Henney will have less cars to pass on his way towards the front of the grid. Angus Archer next up from Kevin Molyneux in Class 2. 22 cars on the grid, and away they go. A slow start from Simon Clarke, the championship leader, very slow indeed, but it's Mark McAleer who gets away very quickly from the... Mark McAleer's done a Kevin Harrison there from the outside of the front row. Simon Clarke, though, back on the case very quickly and looking to make up potentially lost ground as they go up into Druids for the first time in the 8th race of the 2019 season. We're at Snetterton next time out, but plenty of action to call for you with a 25-minute race in prospect. Very busy at the start as always. Jonathan Evans side by side in his Cayman with Simon Clarke. Steve Cheetham, who you heard was just trying different setups to try and get things right with that car, but it's Mark McAleer leading from Jake. I wonder, there can't be team orders. That was just an absolutely superb start by Mark McAleer. James Coleman leads Class 2 from Kevin Molyneux. Remember, he didn't have the top on the car in the second race of the last meeting, but has in this one. So Molly looking for a podium here, and looks like taking the battle to James Coleman. Both of them, and James Coleman's into retirement. James Coleman pulls across. James Coleman is out of the race. He's unbeaten this weekend. This is day 2 of the meeting, and he took a double yesterday. He's out of the race. Simon Clarke is not looking happy as well in this one at the moment, so Jonathan Evans up ahead of him. Ahead of Jonathan is James Cayley in his 997. James with just one retirement so far this year. And Simon Clarke, well, you know, you have to... I go back to what Kevin Harrison said, and it was absolutely very gracious of Kevin Harrison to give us an interview after damaging the car, but he was very magnanimous about what happened in qualifying with himself. Paul Seagrave, the other badly damaged car, Craig Wilkins, also a victim of qualifying, but he just said that's racing, you have to bounce back from it and get on. And essentially that's going to be the 2 drop scores for Kevin Harrison, but still in with the shout of the championship. And I'm going back to my original point, was that Simon Clarke in this one not looking as happy at all. So Simon with some work to do, but it's Mark McAleer leading, Jake McAleer at the bottom of shot in second place. Pete Morris was happy, wasn't he, after race 1? It's such a great championship, so friendly, love the company of this championship, and when the sun's out as it has been this weekend, it just does not get, racing doesn't get any better. Porsche racing at its absolute best. The championship so well organised, so well structured as well. You can be champion from Class 2. Jonathan Evans, champion last year, Mark Sumpter the overall champion. Andy Toon, the last Class 2 driver to take the overall title. John McCullough did it back in 2013, and Alex Eacock the year before. But now look at Simon Clarke. Looks to the outside line of the reigning Class 2 champion, working hard on the outside line. That was brave stuff from Simon Clarke. 3 Caymans together. Steve Cheetham does look a little bit sharper in this one. Looks to the inside line. Did he tag the back end of Simon Clarke's car? There might have been contact. Cheetham determined to go up the inside line. Backs out of it, to be fair. So the 3 Caymans continue to fight another corner or 2. But it's still Mark McAleer out front. The worry now is going to be about the tyres on the 997s. Are they going to last? It's so hot out there that we wonder whether they are. Chris Dyer is in 4th place in his Cayman. So Chris Dyer is the lead Cayman in this one at the moment and running well. Took an outright win at Doddington. Make no apology for reminding you about that. Ross Morris looking on the inside line of Matt Kyle Henney, the Strasser car going through, or is he going through? Still side by side, and Matt's not giving up without a fight, but Ross is going to have the line coming across the line, down in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Matt Kyle Henney, relatively more a newcomer, of course, than Ross Morris. Ross himself a newcomer to racing, but the move is complete, and Matt will possibly try and fight back, and you can see just behind them is Toby Barlow, still looking to make progress after that great podium. Jake McAleer beginning to start a bit of momentum here, closing in on his dad. I love Mark's turn of phrase in the interview. Race number 1, and the door is open, and Jake McAleer's challenging for the lead, side by side, but Mark's got the better run, but the gap is surely there on the inside as they go into Paddock Hill Bend for the 44 car to go through. 996 passes 997. The Cayman of Chris Dyer is coming up as well. And now we've got Jake McAleer, who's looking for his first overall win in this championship. And look at Chris Dyer trying the outside line, switches to the inside here. That's not for a pass, that's to tee himself up for a good run along Cooper Straight here from Chris Dyer. The Miller's Oil's Strasser Prepared Cayman running in third place, but the race leader is Jake McAleer. He had fastest lap in race 1. He had pole position for this one, second in qualifying for race 1. Look at that, the Strasser, they're the red and black arrows. Absolutely love watching those cars running in formation. Andy Toon is having a good race in the number 4 car, so well done, Andy. I tell you what, Andy Toon, look at his run of results over the course of the season. And he's a driver making real progress in Class 1 now. As I mentioned, the outright champion in 2016, Class 2 champion that year. His run of results this year, 8th and 5th at Donington, Brands Hatch GP 8th and 6th. Yesterday, 6th and 8th, 7th position in race 1. Looking for another decent result here as Ross Morris tries to close in on Molly. Kevin Molyneux, and that's for the class lead, isn't it? Because sadly we have lost James Coleman out of this race, a very early retirement as he went on to lap 2. So Kevin Molyneux, are we going to see a maiden win? And Kevin Molyneux is going to be challenged on the outside line, and is he going to be passed by Ross Morris? Ross Morris has got it. Matt Carl-Henny in third place. Ross Morris takes the class lead. Kevin Molyneux, though, is going to fight back. Looks at the gap on the inside. There isn't a gap now because Ross Morris has closed the door as they go through clearways. So Ross Morris now the class leader, and up into second place goes Chris Dyer. Dyer second. Mark McAleer, the winner of the earlier race today, is down to third place, and Andy Toon coming up to challenge him as well. Absolutely superb racing again. McAleer starting to get into traffic. Chris Dyer will fancy his chances of a second overall win as well, but Jake McAleer knows that he's got the pace with fastest lap in race 1, pole position here, and that car showing no sign of tyre fatigue at the moment as we start to edge towards the halfway point in our 8th race of the season. Only 3 more events after this, so we're into the second half of the season now officially at this weekend. There's a little bit of dirt being kicked up from Del Brett, who goes off, but a safe recovery back onto circuit for him. Round 8 of the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Alistair Isles, who had a retirement yesterday and a retirement in race 1 of this meeting, about to be passed by the number 3 car of Ross Morris, who's got the class lead at the moment. So Morris leading. Kevin Molyneux is second in class at the moment. Ross can't quite get past that class 1 car. It's going to be a little bit frustrating for him, but a good race. And I'll tell you what, closing up is Matt Kyle-Henny closing in at the moment on Kevin Molyneux. Mark McAleer third, the black and blue 997 being chased by the 996 of Andy Toon. This is a great race by Andy Toon here. Peter Morris is in behind in his 997. There he is in the number 2. Peter, double outright champion 2015 and 2014. Class 1 champion back in 2004 as well. Once again on the inside line goes Ross Morris, having a super dice with Alistair Isles. Through on the inside line as well goes Kevin Molyneux in second, and Molly hasn't been lost by the race leader, so Morris and Molly in the mix, and Matt Kyle-Henny as well, not too far behind in third position as they go across the line again. Ross is going to be delighted with the opportunity to get on the top step of the podium again here, looking for a 4th win of the season. That will be 50% of the races if he can do it, but Kevin Molyneux will be keen to take a debut win here. Has already had a plethora of podia over the course of the season, and has got to try and deal with Alistair Isles as well in that 33 car. Matt Kyle-Henny looking good though. Nice line out of Graham Hill Bend. Do you know what? I haven't seen any track limits penalties today, which is testament to the driving standards of these drivers. And you can't even talk about officials dishing them out because there are cameras built into the curbs at various points of the circuit. So it's not even officials that apply the penalties. They are the penalties are judged, as a matter of fact, by pictures that are taken. So great driving from all of our racers as Matt Kyle-Henny takes a wide line there to try and close in. There is Adam Davey racing with Steve Freeman. This is for 6th and 7th in class. Meanwhile, we've got, that's the 3rd place car of Mark McAleer. This again could be good points for Mark. He'll be disappointed not to be at the sharp end, but tyre management wise, a podium could be a good result. Matthew Harris there. Debut weekend for Matthew, busy chasing Andy Baker. Andy's had a nice day. Retirement in race number 1, but still running in race 2. First time in the championship to both of those guys. And they're down behind Steve Freeman. Andy's got the upper hand over Matthew Harris at the moment. Jake McAleer through on the inside line of Steve Freeman. Blue flags being waved, as you can see, for the Class 2 runners. So Jake is through. Unsurprisingly, has the fastest lap of the race as well, 52.392 seconds, 83 miles per hour around the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch. Chris Dyer's best lap time was on lap 3, a 52.4. And Jake picking them off as Chris Dyer goes past the 68 car of Steve Freeman. Natalie McGloin just... I said that Matt Harris was having a good weekend. He's going to rejoin when it's safe to do so. He's had a little moment, parked up, waits for the faster cars to go through, and will rejoin and continue his learning experience of the championship. Ross Morris still out front in Class 2, and will continue to build his championship lead here, which is going to be good news for him. Kevin Molyneux, incidentally, was 6th in the championship coming into this round, and Angus Archer 7th there in the 70 car. Very, very close this year. You've got to say that Class 2 is as close as it's been and competitive as it's been for many seasons. Matt Harris goes wide. Jake McAleer in the 44 car goes through on the inside line, and Jake is going to be counting the laps down here to a potential first outright victory in the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. But it's not over for Chris Dyer yet, because the Cayman driver is still giving chase. Chris Dyer, the man from Bradford, 1 career win, 9 podia, 22 class wins for Chris Dyer over the years, and cut his teeth in Class 2, twice champion in Class 2, overall championship winner in 2010. So it's been a gruelling weekend for all of these runners. There is Jake McAleer across the line again, and we'll be looking to put a lap on Ross Morris very shortly. Ross will look in his mirrors. He's certainly cleared Kevin Molyneux. Looking back to see if we can see where Molly is. He's a fair way back. So Ross looking comfortable here. His dad's going to be chuffed. So we're going to have the two second generation drivers potentially taking wins here. And Jake McAleer on his way. There is Simon Clarke, who is continuing on after a frustrating opening couple of laps for this race for the championship leader. But you need to put it in perspective. His drop score coming into this race was a 10th. This will be his second drop score, on for 6th position at the moment. And if 6th place is a drop score, then your season ain't too shabby. Simon Clarke has driven so well in the races thus far. He's finished all the races this year, as has Matt Kyle Henney. Pete Morris has finished all of his races. Andy Toon has done all his. Chris Dyer. So we've got a lot of drivers with 100% reliability in all of the races that we've had so far. Better not speak too soon. Natalie McGloin enjoying a battle there with Adam Davey for 16th place. Adam 6th in class at the moment. Ross Morris now being closed down by the 3rd place car, Mark McAleer. Ross, incidentally, is 9th on track, still ahead of Kevin Molyneux. Look at the great driving from Ross Morris there, keeps it over, allows Mark McAleer through, gets back on the racing line. He'll look in his mirrors and he'll see Andy Toon next up, his Strasser teammate. Andy Nipser on the inside. Ross Morris, absolutely fair play to him. His dad's going to pass him next. So a father and son moment coming up as Jake McAleer goes on to the last lap. There's Angus Archer now ahead of Matt Kyle Henney. Angus behind Toby Barlow off onto the podium again in 3rd place. Angus Archer 4th in Class 2. Matt Kyle Henney is 5th and picking up some good points. I'm not going to have time to do the mental arithmetic championship wise, but we will confirm the points for you by the end of the programme. Again, son passes father. Pete Morris on his way at the moment to 5th position. Not quite sure who will be called driver of the race after this one, but Jake McAleer's done a super job out front. Andy Toon's done magnificently here with 4th. Chris Dyer with 2nd. So many to choose from, you have to say, over what has been a hot but largely fun weekend. I know there's been a little bit of damage here and there which has frustrated things, but the checkered flag being ready, and Jake McAleer takes his first outright win in the championship. Chris Dyer a fine second place. Mark McAleer will take third position from Andy Toon in fourth as we watch Angus Archer coming under pressure from Andy Baker. Class 2 still led by Ross Morris, who's going to take the win in Class 2. But the cars coming across the line to complete a splendid race weekend here at Brands Hatch. Jake McAleer the winner from Chris Dyer and Mark McAleer. Andy Toon and Pete Morris next up from Simon Clarke and James Cayley. Steve Cheetham ahead of Ross Morris and Kevin Molyneux. Morris and Molyneux first and second in Class 2. Then it was Del Brett and Alistair Isles. Toby Barlow third in class from Angus Archer and Matt Kyle Henning. Then Natalie McGloin and Adam Davey. Steve Freeman is next up from Andy Baker and Matt Harris.
Jake, many congratulations. Statistically, what a great championship this year. 8 races, 6 different winners, but this your first overall win. Many congratulations. Well done.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I mean, it really means a lot. Bit of pressure on from being in the lead quite early on. I mean, there's a lot of laps to while away, but yeah, I'm over the moon. Can't believe it.
Fastest lap too. You can't ask for any more.
Didn't know about that, but I'll take that, of course. What a bonus, yeah. Like I say, it's been a great day today. Just unfortunate, obviously, with the gearing issue in qualifying yesterday. Otherwise, maybe we would have had 2 of these days, but got to take what you get, and yeah, I'm over the moon.
Chris, we grabbed a quick word with you before you went out, and here we are again. Second podium of the year. Obviously, the first one was a win, but a good race and a very good result.
Yeah, really good race. Mark just made one mistake up at Druid's lock to brake. I just managed to get inside of him and then just gap him then and just keep him gapped. But car just felt great, really happy with my start. My start was fantastic and really enjoyed race, really close and clean.
Well, there we go, 2 races, Mark, 2 podiums, and great result for Jake as well. But for you too, a good point scoring weekend.
Yeah, it was good. That I mean, we've made a couple of little adjustments to the car to try and make the car last longer in the second race, and although it didn't have the pace, it seemed to stabilise and didn't get any worse, which was sort of encouraging. But we didn't have the pace of the 996 when they came in, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, Jake really well. Yeah, absolutely pleased, over the moon for him.
Back on the top step of the podium, 4th win of the year.
Yeah, the 4th win. So yeah, I was determined to get there this weekend, but it's been a struggle.
In what way has it been a struggle?
There's a couple of new guys out there in fast boxes, and they've got great driving ability, and you know, they're quick. So getting these few podiums this weekend has really helped me in Class 2 and probably in the championship. So I was going to keep knocking in the points and hoping I can stick up there and win Class 2 and try for the championship.
Kevin, congratulations. I think I'll make that a 5th podium this year, so not a bad run.
Oh no, I'm happy with that. New to the series, yeah, so happy with that, really pleased with that. Ultimate 33, Lee and Paul done an awesome turn, to be honest. I leave them to set the car up and I just go and do what I've got to do, yeah.
But driving's a fair amount to do.
I know it was tough because there's a lot of young kids out there then, and obviously the fatigue's cut in, but they were just awesome.
2 podiums out of 2 today. Well done, Toby Barlow. Superb race. Tell us about it.
Thank you, yeah. Really great result. Yeah. Again, rubbish start, something I need to work on, make life difficult for myself. But no, it was a really good race. You know, really hard fought, trying to catch Ross. But yeah, really, really good. Just lost for words, to be honest. Absolutely lost for words.
Table looks like this, heading to Snetterton. Simon Clarke, 17 points clear of Jake McAleer, who's closing in. Pete Morris in 3rd from Chris Dyer and Andy Toon. Mark McAleer wrapping up the top 6 of the championship. In Class 2, Ross Morris leads from Matt Colhenny in 2nd. Steve Freeman in 3rd from Kevin Molyneux. Angus Archer in 5th now, ahead of Trevor Lewis, Paul Seagrave and James Coleman.
The end of a superb day's racing here for the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Celebrations in the McAleer household. Mark winning race 1, McAleer Jr. Jake winning in race 2. The second generation well represented in Class 2 as well, with Ross Morris taking his win. James Coleman, of course, winning race 1. The celebrations here at Brands Hatch continue, and we'll be back with you at Snetterton Circuit in a few weeks' time. Many thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.